Our next guest, Lynn Holzman, the West Coast Conference President's Council, had just selected her to serve as the third full-time commissioner in the 62-year history of the West Coast Conferences. She replaces Jamie Zaninovich. Lynn, I have this vision of party horns, balloons, and streamers when you found out you were taking over as the new West Coast Conference Commissioner. What was your initial response and reaction to the news?
Wow. Well, first of all, thank you for having me on today. It's exciting. It certainly has been a whirlwind the last few days. So when I got the news, I don't think there were balloons, streamers, or anything like that for sure. First, it may not necessarily be my style, but it's also, I think, just the realizing the significance of the appointment and what comes with the position, certainly just went into that business mode a little bit. But I can't lie. Certainly, there's been some smiles and some celebrations and some toasts with my friends and family.
Well, congratulations. And when do you officially take over as Commissioner of the West Coast Conference?
I take over early next week, and out of the blocks, one of the big things that I'll be involved in is that the 32 Division I Conference Commissioners have a meeting in Southern California, and we'll be talking about a lot of exciting stuff down there. So Monday is the first official day.
Well, that's a big Monday. What a way to start for you in your new role. What prepares you for a huge responsibility like this?
Great question. I think there's a lot that goes into it. For me, the professional experiences that I've had, as many may know and some may not know, prior to my coming to the West Coast Conference, a little under 2 years ago, I spent 16 years at the NCAA National Office. And there, throughout my career, I was involved in a lot of Division I governance matters, involved in working with a lot of presidents, athletic directors, and others within the issues surrounding the NCAA regulatory environment. And as you all know, that's a real big issue right now and what's happening on the national landscape. I also did a lot of work with the different coaches associations and helping them navigate the NCAA politics and the bureaucracy and all that. So I think those, coupled with the experiences I've had the last couple of years here at the West Coast Conference, really working side by side with Jamie and our other leaders, as we've talked about continued growth for men's basketball in our exposure realm and what we've been doing with our digital platform, the W.TV, and other things. I think putting that all together in a nice, neat little package prepared me for this position, and I'm excited about the direction and the opportunities our conference has.
And Lynn, the direction continues to change, and you mentioned big things you'll talk about in Southern California next week with other commissioners. How has some of the knowledge that you gained in working, you mentioned the politics and the academics, things like stipends, snacks, food, all of that. How, I guess, what's the future going forward, and how do you manage that as a in the WCC?
It'd be great if we all knew what's actually coming our way.
Yeah.
That's the $1 million question. I think that's part of the challenge of being in this position, is that our conference is we have to make sure that we maintain our relevance on that national scene. And it's not just in the competitive realm and how our teams and our schools are performing in men's basketball and our other sports, and then how we promote that through our exposure efforts. But within those rooms and in those conversations, how do we make sure we remain relevant in those national discussions? And as those things are happening, and as we see regulatory reform happening, whether it's how the NCAA governance structure is working with the power conferences and the level of votes that they have and all of that, how do we make sure that we're part of that and we appropriately have representation and influence on the outcomes? And I think one of the more important things then is how our membership, our 10 institutions within the West Coast Conference, address those issues. As you said, as discussions surrounding cost of attendance and other things that contribute to that student-athlete experience, whether it's in changing NCAA rules surrounding that, those are important conversations that our own membership then has to have, and we have to be proactive. We cannot sit back and be reactive in those conversations, because they ultimately translate to how then we're competitive on the field of play and on the basketball court and everywhere else. We have to put our institutions in a position to be successful, but the reality is that there's only that we have resources that we're challenged with at our institutions, so we have to make very thoughtful, intentional decisions.
Lynn Holzman giving her first interview as the new commissioner of the West Coast Conference to BYU Sports Nation. Right now, we are live with her. Lynn, you brought up Jamie Zaninovich, and he obviously did a great job in getting the WCC out there, and you've had an opportunity to work very closely with him. Did he give you the secret to success as you take over this new job? What did he tell you have to do?
Well, I can accurately say it's not one single thing.
Yeah,
Jamie
yes.
has a lot of advice to offer up, and he's continued to do so. And the great thing is that he's going to remain in the area. Going over to the Pac-12 as a deputy commissioner, and I'll continue to seek his counsel along with other individuals throughout the industry to make sure that we're putting our conference in the right position. Jamie did a phenomenal job here over the last 6-7 years. There's a lot of progress that was made to sustain and build on the vision that we have at the West Coast Conference, which is to be the most competitive and well-recognized football championship subdivision or Division I conference, while we deliver a premier educational experience for all of our student athletes. So the three big components there: we want to be the most competitive, we want to be well-recognized, and we want our student athletes to have an awesome experience. And within that, as I said, there's not just one piece of advice that Jamie has given, but if I had to pick one, I would say that Jamie's advice is that we have to make sure that we are engaged everywhere that we need to be, and that we can't sit on the sidelines with the conversations we need to be involved in and the initiatives that we undertake. He was a very progressive leader, and really challenged our membership and our institutions to grow in a lot of different ways, and we've seen the fruits of that labor. And part of my responsibility is to make sure that we continue to move forward and that we continue to capitalize on that. We put ourselves in a position that our schools and our athletic programs can be successful.
Lynn, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that you'll probably feel a measure of stress at some point as the commissioner of the West Coast Conference. What do you do to relieve those anxious, tense moments?
Oh, what do I do? I enjoy traveling, and here's a classic about this schedule right now. I play basketball in college, and at some point in time,
Kansas State, right?
Kansas State University, that's right. At some point in time, I decided that it was okay that I ran around without a ball in my hand, and I started becoming a runner. So the timing of this is certainly not ideal, but I have a half marathon in a week and a half here that I'm training for. So that's where the stress is going. I think it's going to be a pretty, very much a lot of thought within that 13.1 miles on June 21st here as I'm running that half marathon. I have a lot to think about, that's for sure.
But you still have headphones in with music, or no?
Oh, yeah, I'm a headphone runner for sure. I play games with myself when I run, how many songs I have to go, everything.
Nice.
Now, I think we buried the lead here, but this is your first interview, as I guess you'll be the commissioner officially next week. But why did you pick BYU Sports Nation as your first interview, Lynn?
Oh, there's something to say about first movers, isn't there? We got the request from you guys, and of course, BYU, both as an institution, our conference, and BYUtv, you guys, everything. You guys are important parts of what we're trying to do to make sure that we get the exposure and we get the word out there about what we are as the West Coast Conference. So certainly I was going to jump on this chance to interview with you guys.
We appreciate the time. I was wondering if winning the Commissioner's Cup for a second straight year gave us the opportunity, if we had first dibs on Lynn Holzman.
Well, I can tell you that President Worthen, who was at our meetings, he thought it was quite great that he comes to his first president's meeting, and what we do is give him a trophy.
Yeah.
Every year, baby.
Welcome to the league. Lynn, great to talk with you. We look forward to working with you and seeing you in the future.
All right, sounds great. Thank you.